Hello, today is another Miller Math Talk with the subject being, should I multiply or divide when solving word problems to 100? Let's take a few examples here. How can we tell division and multiplication apart? Well, we see a division sign here, multiplication here. If we're dividing, we may hear words like divide, share, or share equally, remainder. We haven't talked about remainders much. Divided by, one extra E there, divided by. And over here, when we look at multiplication, some things you may hear, some multiplication words are times, multiply, product, that's the answer to a multiplication problem. Array, you can find the answer to a multiplication problem by using an array. So then how can we tell what to do in a word problem? Let's read this word problem together. Use multiplication when we're trying to find out how many of something we have. Let's read this question and figure out if we should multiply or divide. Up here, it kind of gives us a clue. We use multiplication when we're trying to find out how many of something we have. If I read 5 books each day, and I read for 5 days, how many books have I read in all? In this problem, I'm trying to figure out the total number of books I read in all. So we see here, picture day 1, 5 books. This looks like repeated addition. So 5 books plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is equal to 25 books. In this word problem, we used multiplication because 5 books times 5 books is the same as 5 days and 5 books each day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. We'll come back to that one in just a moment, but let's take a look at if we reverse that and we use division when we're trying to find out how many of something is in each group. Remember, we're breaking apart a larger number. So one thing I can tell you about the difference between multiplication and division, when you multiply 2 factors, you're going to get a larger number than what you're starting with, unless you're multiplying by like 5 times 1 or 5 times 0. When dividing, though, we're going to start with that larger number. Now, how do I know I'm going to divide on this one? Well, I see a couple of keywords here. We use division when we're trying to find out how many of something is in each group. We're breaking apart a larger number. That tells me that I'm taking a large number, I'm going to break apart into smaller numbers. So if I read 25 books, in 5 days. Notice I'm starting with the larger number. That's important with division. Begin with the largest, and that is your dividend. We're dividing that by 5 days. So in another video, I showed how to take 25 and equally distribute it. So if I read 25 books in 5 days, how many books did I read each day? Well, I may already know from the page before, but if I don't know the answer to a division problem, I can still draw 5 groups. But I don't know how many goes in each group yet. That's why when I divide, I go one at a time in each group. So I'm going to be counting up to 25 in 5 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Oops, 13. I had to balance one out. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. How many is in each group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. But also, 5 times 5 is 25. Keep in mind, we just drew a picture just like this. If I were to read 25 books this week in 5 days, we'll move 1 book to each spot per day. And I'm going to give you these slides afterwards so that you can give this a try if you'd like. Oh no, where did I move that book? Okay, you kind of get the idea, especially after I drew the picture here. So how do you really know when to multiply and when to divide? It's not that easy, but look for some keywords. Ask yourself, are they wanting to know groups? Do you hear share equally, divided? If you're going to need a smaller number, you'll know you need to divide. If you're looking for a larger number, you're going to multiply. These are a few more of the Indiana Math State Standards that we'll be looking at throughout Mrs. Miller's Math Talks throughout the year. Have a wonderful Monday.